Good evening. Welcome to Latino Talk TV. I'm your host, Jose Luis Jimenez.
I'm Greg Compian.
And I'm Ben Mendez.
I hope you're having a great evening. And for those of you watching us on the internet, welcome. We are here live at Houston Media Source in the greater East End of Houston, Texas. What we're going to do now for the next hour, we are on live television. Everything you see here is completely live. And we're going to put a phone number on the screen. We want you to call in. We want you to interact with us. We're going to have the candidates join us in a little bit. We have two candidates from the Texas Senate District 6. We're going to have a personal one-on-one interview with them so we can get to know them, get to know what they're doing and why they actually took on this challenge of running for an office seat like this. But before we do that, we brought two very special guests that are extremely active in the community in getting voters out to vote. And you're going to be really interested to find out what they do, okay? So let me first introduce our guests. Our first guest is Ms. Maria Erlinda Treviño from the Parent Prep Academy from HISD. And also our second guest is Mr. Luis Garcia Alvarez from La Raza United. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us here.
So you want to go for the first question?
How did you initially get involved to start the whole process?
The whole process of getting
you yourself.
You myself.
What made you engage to get involved?
Well, I actually started working with the parents, some 30 years ago. As a young girl, I love community. I went on and got a degree as a teacher, and I went on and became a teacher. And then when I was in the classroom, back in the times and the days when we didn't have no parent involvement, I was the pre-K teacher. So what I did was I had my own meeting with my own parent. I thought that I was not only the teacher of my students in my classroom, but that I also needed to be the teacher of the parents of those students. So I would have meetings with that until one day the superintendent asked me, Ms. Treviño, would you like to become the teacher of the parent? Where I thought it was an honor. So that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years, being the teacher of the parents. I go out and I provide education to the parents. It doesn't matter, what type of education that I provide, as long as what I'm providing the parent is something that is gonna empower them to raise successful children.
Well, I find it kind of interesting because I ran into her in the political arena, if you will, and she's always been neutral. But the main thing is she wants parents to get engaged with the process. Mm-hmm. So regardless of who they're voting for, I might take a step back and say they did support the bond program. Mm-hmm. But other than that, they have been fairly neutral. And it's impressive to see so many parents get engaged with the community, get engaged with the political process. Now, Luis does something very similar. Tell us what you do.
Yes, basically what we do, we encourage parents to get to become important part of their children's education, being their role model, and start getting more education by themselves. We encourage parents to start getting their GED or taking ESL classes or taking citizenship classes so they can be part of the political process and take the responsibility that it takes with that, so they can be not just in the other side of the scenario, just watching the show, so they can be part of what is the successes of the city or their community or the state. So as far as they can become a part of that, their children see what they're doing and they transmit that passion and that impact for their children. That's a chain that we need to break, because at this point we have low-income communities, immigrant communities, regardless of they are Latinos or not, that are not taking a part on the political process in their communities, not talking the citywide or statewide. In their own communities, they're not taking the steps that they need in order to make their communities grow and success.
It's very interesting, and I'm excited to see in Ms. Treviño, we work together in certain other things, but for an organization like HISD and also nonprofits like La Raza United to teach civic engagement not only to the students but to the parents, that says a lot about how we as a community in Houston are willing to empower our parents to move forward and do more things. Mr. Treviño, give us an example of one of the parents that has really gotten engaged in your classes and has really taken an active role in something. lately?
Well, actually, when HID, got us together because we have a curriculum that we provide to the parents, and one of the curriculum was parent right and responsibility and the welcome to HID. But at the same time, around when we were getting ready on what presentation we're gonna give to the parent, the district suggested that why don't I educate the parents about the bond election. Because the bond elections was something very important for all of us because it affects the future of our children right now. I told a parent that this new bond is about their children's high school. That someday, their children were gonna go to a beautiful, great high school. Right now, some of those high schools that we have more than 30, 50 years old. Some of I hate to say it, but some of them are actually falling down. I mean, you could actually walk into the campus and they look old. And how can a child be getting a 21st century education in buildings that are not adequate, or good? So what I did, through HID was that when I had my parent trainings, I would inform the parent, and I would always ask this question: how many of you know about the bond? How many of you know what is a bond? Most of the parents didn't know what the bond. How many of you know when are we gonna vote? When is the election day or something? And most of those parents didn't. So I became the teacher of the parents, informing them about, what is the bond? How do we get a bond? What happened? Because some of the parents were concerned. They were saying, well, in the last election, they also had a bond, and now you're asking for another bond, and I had to explain to them, well, one bond is for this bond is for this other thing. Or sometimes the parent wanted to say, how mean, qué malos, they are laying off teachers because they don't have any money, and here we are building new schools. How is it that we're building new schools and they're laying off teachers? And then I had to explain to the parent that actually the bond money was only for building, for maybe a few technology equipment, for certain things that the bond could not be used to pay teachers. So the more the parents got informed of what is the bond, they themselves went out and promote, the bond. Because I would also let them know that if they couldn't vote themselves, that at least they knew 2 or 3 other people that could vote, and then for them to go and tell those 2 other people, and take them to a poll, And let's see, like I said, we were only educating the bond, but this is the first time in my whole career of education that we actually went a step beyond in educating not only the parent, but also we educated the student. What is the election for? What is it important?
How do you keep the parents engaged after the election, whether you were for the bond or against the bond, to keep the people that are the trustees accountable to the people that passed the bond and to the schools? Because, big business gets involved in this. And you're talking $1.9 billion, which is a lot of money, and holding them accountable after that hard work so that way they don't disengage, so they can see the fruit of the labor, and keeping them engaged so that way they understand that without their engagement, it might not happen.
There's many levels of parent engagement. Like, for instance, we have the superintendent parent advisory committee. And that is a group of parents, one representative from at least one school or from several regions of the school, and they make this superintendent parent advisory council. And at that meeting, they're going to get information of how the bond process is doing. How many schools are they already started working with? How far along are with this bond?
But not even to interrupt you, but not talking about HISD. Let's keep HISD just separate. Okay. Just the engagement of it, because you can be for it, you can be for it or against it, because I mean there's some good things out of the bond. There's some bad things out of the bond.
Yes,
but after the bond got approved.
Yeah.
Okay, keeping them engaged so that way we can keep the elected officials accountable to what they promised. That's the key.
Okay. Yeah, the key is the presentation that you give the parent. that when they come to me, I am the administrator of Parent Prep Academy. And Parent Prep Academy, what it is a series of presentations. We have 4 different presentations that we go out to the schools and do these presentations. And these presentations are not just any presentation. These presentations are presentations that will empower the parent and that will keep the parent engaged. Now, the parent know the difference. If you invite them to come to a parent prep meeting, they will come. If you invite them to come to any meeting, they might not just come because they said, oh, we don't want to go to hear more of the same thing. No, when they come to me, to our Parent Prep Academy meetings, they're going to learn. They're going to take something that they can use right after that meeting, something that they can empower themselves and do. I have a counseling background, and I have a human services background. So that's where I come in and I look at the parent and I tell the parent, you don't have to explain to me where are you right now in your life with your children. That's what I went to school for. What I am here is to help you move to the next level, to see how are you are going to be a part of raising successful children.
Luis,
Yes.
You want to say something
Yes,
to that?
I also think that if we want to keep momentum of what those parents were doing during the election, they want to keep them working after election. We're going back to the same thing. Education is the key. So what we do as our local nonprofit organization, part of our responsibility is to identify who are the leaders of the community. We always have parents that are key leaders. There are 3 or 4, or probably 5. Those key parents are always very involved and engaged in their children's education. So they are the same kind of leaders at churches or other kind of community centers. So our main role is to identify who are them and to give them all the tools they need. And most of the tools they are needing actually are education components. Probably they need to learn a life skill. Probably they need to learn how to public speaking, or probably they need a boost to get and pursue their college education, whatever their needs are. Their needs are. So once they gather those tools, part of what we need to do is to encourage them to take an active role, either if it is in a local nonprofit organization, either if it is in a church or in a political party or whatever it is. The most important thing is to encourage them, and they will continue doing their actions, and they will continue encouraging and motivating other community members to continue their work. And they're going to keep an eye on what's the process, what are the continuation of the labor they were doing before.
Well, and in continuing with that, we actually have to move on with the show. But if you're out there and you want to learn more about these programs, number one, if you're in or near an HISD campus, reach out to your administrators and request the Parent Prep Academy Parent Engagement Program. If they're not on your campus, ask your principals to bring it on there. They know how to get it. Is there a direct number that they can request it?
Actually, for them to, a request with parent engagement. And back to what Luis was saying about leadership, that's something very important. We do have a program for parent leadership, and that's called A Time to Talk. And this is a new program that HID will be piloting. And what it is we're going to be recruiting parent leaders. And we're going to be giving them the information they need, and then from there, they're going to take it out to the community. And then like that, we can expand more, because I'm only one. But if we get parent leaders to spread the word of what we're doing, what is important for the children, we can, in turn, will have a very successful community.
And this outreach that you're doing, are y'all providing any of the procurement opportunities that are available to maybe some of these parents might be able to do some of this work? And that's very key. And you're talking about leadership and providing opportunity, because that's what keeps a roof over the head for the family. And that's what I was talking about. It's not just a matter of getting the bond passed. It's keeping the trustees accountable. But not only that, some of the parents may be able to, if you're going to spend that type of money, why don't we, if you look at the demographics in HISDs, why don't we expect to have that percentage within our community spent in providing opportunities. And that's what I'm talking about, is the whole spectrum, because it's not just passing it to enrich other people. How do we get a part of it also?
So, that's a really good point. And for those that are out there, and we have to move on with the agenda, but request Parent Prep Academy on your campuses. If you don't know how, ask your principals, your assistant principals. Request Parent Prep Academy on your property, on your schools. And also for La Raza United, is there a way they can reach you?
Yes, they can visit www.larazaunited.org.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be right back with our first candidate that's here with us. We're going to spend some good quality time with him. It is Mr. Rodolfo Rudy Reyes, candidate for Texas Senate District 6. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all for coming.
And we want to invite you back,
Great
okay?
job.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. All right. You're watching Latino Talk TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Latino Talk TV. We are live here in Houston Media Source. Now we have our first set of guests, Mr. Rodolfo Rudy Reyes. May we call you Rudy?
That's fine with me. No
And
problem.
your lovely wife,
Olga.
Olga Reyes.
Olga Reyes, yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
So I'll start off with the first question. Why in the world do you want to run for this seat?
Why is he running? He's running.
Why are you running?
Well, that was one of the first questions she asked me too, so my wife did. But really though, we talked about this decision about throwing the head into the ring, and we talked for days And weeks,
Weeks.
literally. And at 2:30 in the morning, she's, "Are you awake? Are you awake?"
Are we
"I
gonna
am
do
now."
this?
"Are you sure we want to do this?" No, we did. Finally, when we decided we were going to do this, we said, okay, whatever we do is for the people. We want to do it for the people. And the reality of this situation is that I have been gathering data for 10 years on this particular position, the state senator position. And the indicators have always been a lag of people going to vote. And there's a major reason for that. The reason is because people don't have a leader. People are so complacent that they see career politicians running, from one position to the other position to the other position. And basically, our interpretation of all of that and from the data is a lot of lip service. So a lot of people get forgotten. A lot of people not get properly represented in the state Senate. And we're not talking about just Hispanics. We're talking about Asian Americans. We're talking about African Americans and everyone else. And we're not just talking about the center part of the district. We're talking about Aldine, Channelview, Jacinto City, Pasadena, South Houston. Whatever happened to all of those people? Why aren't they voting, The other indicator is that there are a little over 200,000 registered voters. And with the exception of the general election, you have had more or less 7% of the registered voters voting. Why? The same reason. People are tired. People want a leader. They want change.
Mr. Reyes, thank you for being on the show. Tell the voters a little bit about your background and what have you, and share that with us.
Absolutely. I was born in McAllen, Texas, native Texan. Raised in San Antonio from the age of 3. Went through my formative years, went to public school, and graduated from St. Mary's University. Received a degree in Spanish and Latin American history. But during my junior and senior year, I was very fortunate to receive internships to the National Cancer Institute in Bethesda. And that's where basically I started my professional career as a contract specialist and negotiator. From that point on, after graduation, the Cancer Institute offered me a job, and of course I took it. And as a Hispanic young man, always living in San Antonio, never ever even going to Poteet or Pleasanton or Corpus Christi, I ended up making a big jump, like from San Antonio all the way to Washington, D.C. So it was a cultural clash for me. The food, the people, the environment. But I was able to assimilate and gain a lot of experience, and my mind just broadened to a different perspective of life. From that point on, I went on to work for the Food and Drug Administration and the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration too. At one point, after about maybe 10 years, I left the federal government and went to work for private industry. That's where I found out that, hey, I was underpaid. I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Just kidding.
Trust me, I know.
So I went to work for IBM. And so IBM hired me as their senior negotiator, and spent some wonderful years with them. And after getting transferred to Houston, I was very fortunate to work for the space station program and the space shuttle. So plenty of experience from that point of view. At that point in time, I decided to kind of like just resign from private industry and form my own consulting company. And that's what I did. So for the last 15 years, I've been doing consulting work. And basically my specialty is advising companies, advising small businesses and medium-sized companies on how to enter the government market. So I take them from the very beginning, all the way to from the time they receive a contract, how to administer a contract. If they ever get into trouble, they can call upon me. I can get them out of trouble, how to negotiate a contract, things of that nature. But my most important forte is international. And that's where I go and advise construction engineering companies and oil and gas in different parts of the world, whether it's Africa, Middle East, Latin America, or Europe. So.
I might add that his better half is a former counselor for HISD, and I think you were at Cesar Chavez last. What other schools were you at?
Well, I started off at Briscoe as a pre-kindergarten teacher,
Okay.
and then I went on to other elementaries, and I went on to Austin High School as a counselor, and then I went on to Chavez and became an administrator.
Okay.
So I've worn different
And
hats.
you all have how many kids?
Four.
Four kids. And age range, more or less?
27 to 14.
14.
Okay.
Yeah, that was an oops, but we gladly accepted it.
Okay. So
We love you.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a real issue that is a concern to many parents. The governor is considering, or actually Lieutenant Governor is considering having teachers carry weapons in the school, whether it be 1, 2, 3 people that are the official carriers. How do you feel about that, having guns in our schools?
Well, when I first heard about teachers they were contemplating giving guns to teachers and training them and things of that nature, I thought that's the wrong thing to do. It's not a very good idea. I think teachers today, and based on what I have seen, what I have read, and actually the realities of today's schools, teachers are overly burdened with too many responsibilities. And now we're talking about issuing them a gun. Of course, they're going to train them and things of that nature, but that is the wrong idea.
Jose, you know, the NRA made a statement the other day that the Congress will not pass any legislation to ban weapons, okay? Now, that tells you how strong the NRA is. They have given a lot of money to the elected officials at all levels. So what do you say to people that are constantly taking money from the NRA and then going by what they say versus what the people want?
Right, right. And that's a very delicate subject matter to start with, and you have to almost dissect it piece by piece, okay? Because we're bundling up a big major issue with a lot of other things, okay? So are we going to talk about control weapons? Yes, at one point or another, it needs to be controlled, all right? At one point or another, you need to control what kind of weapons should be sold to who at what time, right? There's nothing wrong with people owning guns because the Constitution literally states, hey, it's a right to bear arms, right? But it's the kind of weapons that are being used today that are not necessarily you have to have at a home for protection. For example, what is that?
AK-47.
AK-47. For example, I mean, you shoot that weapon at somebody who's coming in to your home, you blow that person away, and that bullet continues going through walls, and unfortunately, you may end up killing somebody else. Now, is that necessary? I don't think so.
If you look at this particular Senate District Seat 6,
Yes,
there's 31 state senators in the state.
that is correct.
There's 20 Republicans in the Senate right now, 11 depending on the outcome of this particular race. What are you talking to the voters out there? What is it do you think that you bring to the seat to make you the best candidate for state senator District 6?
I bring to the seat 32 years of experience, not only in federal government, but city government also, private industry, international experience. And I bring it in contracts, administration, management, finance, and budgeting. Those are quite a few elements that you have to have as a backbone if you're going to start dealing with a budget in the state government and dealing with almost any kind of agreements or structuring, formulating legislature, okay? The point that I want to bring out is in reference to what is it exactly that I want to offer the people, and that's I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to literally just invite the community leaders, depending on the situation, whether it's school issues, whether it's economic development, whether it's health issues, and sit down and have meaningful discussions with them. Let's get together and identify what are the issues that are affecting the district at the present time. Let's have consensus as to what is important to the district and what does the district need. Once we agree on the plan, that will be the plan that I will spearhead in the Senate. At the end of the day, I will work, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, I will work side by side with them And at the end of the day, I would definitely bring something home to the district.
So what's missing from the district right now? What's the?
We have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What's missing from the district right now?
I think right now what's missing is a leader that can motivate the people, let them know that here is someone that is ready, able, and prepared to listen to all the issues, the concerns they have. Let them know, hey, I am here to assist you in any way I can. I know I'm not going to gain your trust right away, but I know that with time I will gain your trust, your confidence, and your respect. And that's all I want, just a chance to demonstrate and to prove that to them. And from that point on, I think everything will be based on everything that I do in the Senate. And it will be just for the people. Just bring it back to the district.
You know, one thing I found very interesting when I looked at the map, how spread out it is. I mean, you can probably describe it better than I can. Why don't you tell the voters that are listening kind of the boundaries, if you will? I know it goes south to...
Oh my goodness, it goes all the way almost closely to Clear Lake. It goes over to Baytown, then it spreads over to Channelview, and then Jacinto City, and then all the way then out to 610, I-10 corridor, and then all the way to Aldine. So it's a very spread out area.
And how many senators are in Harris County proper?
In Harris County, I believe there are 3 or 4, something like that.
Okay, because there's some overlap.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so...
And you got about 3 or 4 representatives also.
And just for the viewers' sake, this is a very important race. We have 0 representation in Congress in the Hispanic community.
In the state Senate, in the
Well, I'm talking
legislature.
about U.S. Congress. We have
Oh.
0 representation. We have 0 representation at the Harris County Commissioners Court. So we had 1 Latino senator here in Houston, and hopefully we will vote for another Hispanic because we definitely need the Hispanic representation.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to those voters that are non-Hispanic, those Republicans out there that are up for grabs? What do you say to them to encourage them to vote for you?
It's exactly what I just finished saying a few minutes ago. All I need or all I want is a chance to demonstrate and prove that I have the experience, the skills and capabilities to be able to demonstrate to them that I can do the job, that I will be transparent to them, that we will have a lot of communications between each other, and depending on what the issues are, and whether you're African American, Asian American, you still have the same concerns that we as Hispanics are experiencing. And why you don't have the resolution to those issues or problems is beyond me, but it's way, way overdue. And we should have had these resolved a long time ago, years ago. But here we are today. And here we are as candidates, we're dancing all over the place, telling people, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, vote for me and vote for with me, you give me the chance, I will work very, very hard in the Senate.
Last week when we had Mr. Bray here, and I'll ask the same question to all the candidates that come. Last time it almost seemed like we talked about it being a competition of the candidates, but we didn't talk about the issues of the district. So for you specifically, what are the issues of the district? Of course, you've already said it's missing a leader, but what are the specific issues of the district, and what sets those things as a priority for you?
For me, there are 3 areas: health, education, and economic development. Health, I strongly hope, and I will work very hard to persuade Governor Perry to look at that plan and to really give it a second chance. Okay? I'm not saying that we are going to be successful in forcing him or making him to take all the elements of the plan, but at least consider it. And at the end of the day, maybe take half of what's being offered. But the whole plan, the Medicaid expansion, is very, very good for everyone. And I strongly believe that everyone deserves to have health insurance, health benefits at very reasonable cost. There's no reason why our people should be without any health benefits or health insurance. And especially right now that the government is providing us with this great opportunity to have it, okay? Education, we, meaning my wife and I, are very strong proponents of education. We know the meaning and the importance of having an education. So definitely there's another area that I would strongly go after in trying to recoup all the monies that were taken out and start creating dropout prevention programs, early childhood development programs. Definitely take care of the teachers. Strong proponent when it comes to teachers. I would not be here today if it wasn't for my teachers that I had, okay? And the other one is economic development. Economic development is the backbone to the livelihood of this district. If you look at the map of District 6, it rolls out in such a way that it draws from different elements that we have. Like, for example, petrochemical, the chip channel, you got aerospace, you got the medical education institutions, and you also have Hobby. You know, Hobby Airport is one of the areas that, because of Southwest Airlines that came in, it's another opportunity that we can help it grow and start, bringing in the international business, because with business comes more jobs, right? And with jobs comes more housing, more people come into the market, right? So those are the three elements that I have.
With your international background and with the potential opening of the Panama Canal and the Port of Houston and what have you, the Panama Canal supposedly 2014, the Port of Houston, very important port here in the United States, a big economic impact that it has to the region, and it sits right smack in the middle of District 6, Senate Seat 6. Do you have any relationships with any port commissioners or anything such as that?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But it's an area that I would be very focused on, and I hope that I would end up landing like on the International Relations Committee so that I could have more focus on what goes from an international point of view. And of course, the chip channel would come into view. So, no, I don't have any. But was there a leading question to that? Whether
No,
I
just
knew any?
understanding that, logistically where the Senate seats sit,
Right.
and with the economic impact. But you touched the port and aerospace and Hobby, which will be a huge economic impact
Absolutely.
injection with the international flights coming through.
I think it's important that we educate our viewers also that this election is not just for Democrats. Anybody can vote in this election. This is a free-for-all. So as long as you're a registered voter in the district, you can participate in this election. And the election day is January 26th.
26.
And early voting has already started, by the way, so you can actually vote today, tomorrow,
That's
and I
right.
forget the exact days that
And
that
it
they're
goes
open,
all the way
but,
till next week.
You can look it online, and you can actually vote early. Now, we know there's going to be a low voter turnout.
Yes.
And that's always the case whenever you have a special election. What is it that your campaign is doing to really promote voting?
We are literally walking the streets of the district, and we have covered a lot of territory, knocking on doors, talking to people. We are also disseminating a lot of mail-outs. A lot of mail-outs go into many different parts of the district, flyers, for example, and signs, banners, things of that nature. But what we have also started doing, and you will start seeing it more towards Election Day, are the videos that we are producing, and we are airing them through Channel 26 also.
Wow.
So, and that's forthcoming.
All right.
And now, of course, we're using Twitter and Facebook and all those kind of
Do you know that
free
stuff?
media. Yeah.
You catching up?
I use my face.
Your
face?
I use my face. I'm just kidding. Nice, but, closing remarks, so we got to roll it out. So
I am going to encourage everyone who is listening and who is a registered voter, keeping in mind what I just said a few minutes ago, there are over 200,000 registered voters, and almost at any given election, there's only 7% or less that go out to vote. I encourage everyone. This is a golden opportunity to bring change and new leadership, and I hope that you go out and vote for me.
all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go on, it's kind of interesting, the new technology. as an adult, we see our little kids, our 4-year-olds, know more about the technology out there than we do. And it's amazing what we can do with the internet or
Yes.
other things that are out there, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. So we're always learning, and I'm glad to see that you're finally using Twitter and Facebook, because that's all new to many of us.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
And I have a very, very smart advisor too. So
Very good at
The
it.
boss.
Yes.
the boss.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for joining
Well,
us.
thank you very much for the invitation. It was very, very good talking to everyone.
Thank you for joining us. Now we're going to be right back with our next candidate, Mr. Joaquin Martinez, who was a surprise for many people when he joined the race. We're going to talk to him personally, one-on-one. We'll be right back. You're watching Latino Talk TV. Welcome back. You're still watching Latino Talk TV. We really appreciate you staying with us now. Our last candidate for the evening, Mr. Joaquin Martinez. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good evening.
All right, let's get right to it. If y'all don't know out there, there are 8 candidates out vying for it, and we're going to give each candidate as much as possible a good 15, 20 minutes of one-on-one time, just like we did with Mr. Reyes and also Mr. Bray last week. So now I'm going to start off with the same question I gave everybody else. Why in the world are you running?
Good question. I've always been wanting to get in this type of environment. When right out of high school, I had the opportunity of working for Councilmember John Castillo as an intern for about 3 years off and on. And at that moment, I realized that that's where the resources are. That's where you're able to really make change in your community. That fast forward, another couple of years and working out of neighborhood centers for 10 years, over a decade, working through nonprofits, working with the families, talking with the families, challenging the families, realize that even in nonprofits, this is one of the oldest, largest, most successful nonprofits in the Houston area. There are also challenges, and so for me, it was something that it was only about a matter of time as far as when I wanted to come in and to get in this and play this role. One more thing is that whenever it was this early December of last year, I put together a meeting with a couple of individuals, and that meeting specifically was to discuss Senate District 6. And in that meeting, it was young, motivated individuals. What can we do? Who wants to run for office? We haven't been mentored. We haven't been cultivated. What can we do in order to really put our foot in the door since it wasn't being done for us? At the end of that meeting, fast forward 2 hours later, the result of the meeting was, why don't you run, Joaquin? And I was like, slow it down. This is not what we came for. We came here to build a coalition. We came here to really build a coalition that was going to bring a voice to the community, from the community. 2 days later, reflecting, and what came to mind was I could not ask any one of these individuals to run if I didn't run. So it was a sense of responsibility on my end. So it was a sense of responsibility to step forward and hopefully bring others along in the next coming years, coming months, because as being a young single dad, you know, there's nothing but the future ahead of me. And for me to be able to look not just this election, but future elections for the community and community leaders, what can we do to challenge ourselves and cultivate ourselves and peer mentor ourselves to be really ready to play that leadership role in Houston and in Harris County. So.
Joaquin, talking to the voters out there, not to Ben and Jose and myself, what separates you to being the best candidate out there to be the next senator of District 6?
You know, some people say that it's probably my weakest, which is, you know, my inexperience in politics. But I really think that's really my strongest point. When you're in politics, again, knowing and studying politics, you build relationships that you have to continue to cultivate and you continue to, you know, mend. And so for me, the relationships that I've built over the last decade have been with community members. And so those are my clients. Those are the constituents that I really work for and I really put forward in regards to whatever that agenda will be. That for me brings the one of the strongest, you know, points that I could really bring forward as a candidate for Senate District 6 and also as a senator for Senate District 6. This inexperience, so-called, it would allow me to build relationships with people that probably have been, you know, there's been, you know, barriers in the past because, you know, if once you've already built relations with this group or with this group, you know, you really can't reach out to the, you know, the other guy with the fresh ideas or the new ideas to really build the community.
What do you think that in your age range, what do you think that the saying that that's your weakness but making it your strength, what are the other candidates not seeing or hearing in your age range?
In my age range, what are the candidates?
What do you feel that the other people are not addressing?
So, and I think I appreciate Mr. Reyes, you know, bringing this up as far as voter turnout, and registered voters. Something I've been saying from the get-go. Last in the state in regards to voter turnout, and I had other guests previously talking about, you know, engaging communities, really empowering them, and I think when a community is complacent, it's because of its leadership, and the leadership that has been there, and I say this in general, in Houston, in Harris County, it's been complacent. We've had individuals that have been in politics for years, and for me, I've voted for them several times. I've actually, you know, just recently, I wouldn't say this past election, so one of them was on the ballot, you know, and so it's almost becomes a norm to just go out and vote for that same person because they have that name recognition. But when somebody comes in new, somebody comes in fresh, you know, new ideas, really wanting to communicate with the community, you know, what I've gotten as far as a result from block walking and knocking on doors and after candidate forums and screenings was, I like this. It is different. It doesn't have to be the way it's been, you know, and so those candidates for me, again, it's really been more of this is just the way it's been. And what I'm trying to bring to the table, again, not just for myself, but for my peers, for young leaders, is that we don't have to follow these rules that you have to work your way up. What matters is what's in your heart, what you want to do, and really putting in the work.
I'm actually happy to see 8 candidates. I don't know about you guys, but it energizes the community. You have new people getting engaged. For the first time, we have some of these younger voters getting engaged. I noticed that the people that you've been hanging out with are all young too. So yes, that's a good thing, and I've never seen some of them. So it's a great to see the students from University of Houston, from Houston Community College get engaged. And the more young people we get engaged with the political process, the better. If they can run for office, city council, commissioner, senator, state rep, I am all for it. Yeah. So congrats to you for taking the step to initiate it, because it takes a lot of guts, and Mr. Reyes can probably tell you, and his wife for that matter can tell you, it takes a lot of guts to put your name out there and run for office. So I know you have some great ambitions. You're a precinct judge at one time.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you still are.
No longer a precinct judge, yes.
So you were a precinct judge, so you have been engaged. So I'm going to ask you the same thing as Mr. Reyes. You all know that NRA is really entrenched in the political process. What is your feeling about having guns in schools? Should teachers be able to have a gun?
And again, you know, this is something where, you know, it's when you start looking and take a step back, you know, you have teachers that are there and their main priority is to teach. We all understand, and specifically in Senate District 6, it can be tough. You know, we have some of the highest dropout rates. We have some of the, we don't have as many early childhood education programs. So, the next step after teaching, or it's supposed to be that first step, then the teachers become basically the parents for about 7 or 8 hours, to give them that extra responsibility. To me, it's just common sense. You don't do that. You don't do that. To then give them the responsibility to now, arm themselves. Again, yes, they will be trained, but to arm themselves in order to protect the school, it's just the wrong way to go. Definitely. In many high schools.
But the counter argument is we already have police officers.
Right.
So are you against training police officers to be in the schools?
And that's where I was going to go to next, where, we do have HISD police officers, within the district and even in some of the other ISDs within Senate District 6. That, in having those officials there, especially in the high school setting, I think it's something that, again, you can't take everything just for what it is and allow for individuals to kind of frame what that conversation is. We really need to step back and have those conversations. When you're in high school, it's definitely a different environment. Growing up in the East End area, I went to Cage Jackson Middle School and in Austin High School. And for me, being an honor student at Jackson Middle School, but one day being able to see some, violence that you've never been exposed to, you can't just throw all, it's apples and oranges. You can't just say, this is the way it is for this, and it's not cookie cutter either. You really have to have conversations in regards to what's the best for the community, but also listen to the community. I think the community really knows. Sometimes in politics, the politicians sometimes trying to make it seem that, only I can do this, or this is a role for this type of person, when in fact, everybody in the community really understands and knows what is it that they want. They know that they want their kids to go to school. They want them to graduate from high school, go to college. They want them to be healthy. They want a safe community. They want a community that definitely has opportunities in jobs. And so it's common sense. And I'm going to start stressing this even more because it gets people away from what we're really trying to do, which is encourage civic engagement. When you start throwing in cookie cutter, kind of propositions and, this is the way it is and this is the way it's going to be. I think we need to definitely have conversations and allow more people on the table. Again, no one has all the answers. Every candidate that's running right now cannot do it by themselves.
Joaquin, as the youngest candidate, as being the candidate, and like Ben said, the hardest part is stepping up to the plate and filing. You've done that. You're a candidate, you're underfunded. Talk about some of the challenges of being the youngest, underfunded and everything, but still being able to step up to the plate and put your name on the ballot.
And they're making a splash too. People had stopped and paid attention. So
I think this is where, again, that sense of complacency with our leaders right now. When somebody young comes in, somebody, we were talking about Facebook and Twitter earlier, you have a sense of creativeness that comes from the different individuals that are within my camp. And being underfunded, I grew up in a family of 12, so, you need to learn how to stretch that dollar. You need to learn how to definitely figure out what's more important whenever you're going to, pay for whether it's a yard sign or, push card. And do you want to invest in, door hangers, or do you want to, get what type of volunteers are you getting? Or are they going to be paid volunteers? You really, again, you change the game a lot more, and that's what we're doing now.
If you look at one of the persons running against you, Commissioner Garcia, she had a young candidate. I don't think he was 30 years old.
Jack
He had no money.
Right.
He won an election. I didn't even know he had won.
He was out of town, I believe.
Yeah, so I mean,
or asleep or something like that.
Asleep or something against a political machine with all kind of ammunition, if you would, and monies and what have you. So no, that's good to see the young people get engaged and bring a different perspective to it also. But there's a lot of responsibility. Let's not kid ourselves.
Definitely.
And at the end of the day, running for the office. But what if? Let's just say, what if the Jack Mormon, Commissioner Mormon, Are day one, 100-year plan, are you ready to step into that role?
Yes, definitely. I wouldn't have thrown my hat into this race if I wasn't ready to, definitely get my hands dirty and follow through what I've been saying throughout the campaign as far as civic engagement, as far as making sure that the community really has a voice.
Well, you got a phone call.
Oh, okay.
All right. Hey, caller, you're live on the air. You have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Joaquin. The question is, Joaquin, how are you going to be received knowing that the Republican Party is looking for new Latino leadership for their grassroots campaign to promote the Latino? How do you feel you'll be received in the Senate, being a Latino and young?
Yes.
And then my question.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. It's definitely, you look at this past election, 2012, and some of the rhetoric that was coming out was, how can we reach out to this base? How can we attract these young individuals? And, I want to say that being in this position allows me, again, not having these relations, to really have conversations with these individuals, which is a Republican majority in the Senate. I have real strong Democratic roots, but at the same time, I have very strong Catholic roots as well. And within our age group, I think we've been able to challenge ourselves and really step out of our comfort zone or our family's comfort zone. You have business leaders now. You have individuals that are, wanting to run for office. You have individuals that are not doing the same jobs that our parents are doing. So, it definitely brings a different perspective and also that opportunity to bring a different conversation. The Republican Party, they might want to say, hey, this guy doesn't know anyone. Let's talk to him. What can we work with him and meet halfway then, rather than somebody that has been bringing up these walls to them. This is the only way I want to see it. This is the way that it's always been done. So they've never been able to have these conversations.
Do you feel that if you were to be fortunate enough to become the next state senator and being underfunded, and all of a sudden you got all this lobbyists and all this money coming at you, are you ready to handle that responsibility?
Yes, I am. I really am. My heart is really set into, really being that public servant. I have a 6-year-old son, and that's what's most important to me. Not any of the other, perks that, you hear about. Actually, there's something in the Texas Tribune yesterday that was being talked about as far as, part-time legislator and who are they really working for? For me, I say this, and I say it jokingly, but I say it with all sincerity as well. Growing up in a big family, you learn to survive. This job only pays $7,200 a year, and so I'm ready to look at what I need to do as a father to definitely provide for my son. But at the same time, you look at the opportunities to how can you actually make what this movement really is to grow, and it's more than the perks. It's more than being able to rub elbows with lobbyists. It's about challenging not just myself, but challenging my peers and even counterparts within the race to look beyond themselves and look forward at what we're trying to do. So.
Well, actually, we're out of time now. We're less than 1 minute away. But thank you for watching the show, and tell them what you want the people to do.
So, I'm the youngest candidate. I'm the one that's really trying to come out. I want to make sure first and foremost you go and vote. First and foremost, when you have this lowest voter turnout and lowest registered voters, that's where we lacking. So go and vote, Joaquin Martinez. I'm going to be here working hands-on with you throughout the process. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a good night. You're watching Latino Talk TV. We'll be here. Actually, no show 2 weeks from now. So have a good night.